and welcome to the Joys of the Journey. We're gonna do episode with Chris. There's a couple things that we want to talk about, and yeah, so let's get started. So, what is your thought on a fencers when they show up on a tournament or in the fencing club, and they're giving you just 10% effort?
Well, it's frustrating because again, you gotta understand the part that us as coaches, we are supposed to give energy to the kids, but then also they're supposed to give us energy back. We cannot be just a source of energy for everyone to drain us because that's not how it's gonna work. When you have a lesson like this, then you just don't want to do any more lessons. And I tell this to the fencers, like just put the effort and put the energy because otherwise this lesson is over.
It's almost like if the kid is giving you 10% effort and they're expecting you to bring 190%. Everybody has to do their 100% effort. And I remember I was coaching one tournament. I don't remember, it was a while ago. And I just said to the fencer, if you're giving me this 10 or 20%, and if I give you my 10 and 20%, what kind of outcome we're going to have? It's not going to be a result that we want to see. And me as the coach, and I was always telling the kids, either you're all in or either you're out. You cannot be in between, and nobody's going to compensate for the energy that you're lacking, whether it's you want to do it or not want to do it, whether you're tired or not. Once you enter the fencing club or once you enter the competition, your only focus is like right now in the present. How can I be the best version of myself as an athlete? If you regret not training enough, it's too late for you. And actually, that doesn't serve you any good. So, next time, make sure you do it right. So, the next thing is like parents coaching athletes. So, we're not talking about only fencers, but because we have friends with different sports, coaches, athletes. And I will tell you something. We know as a parents of fencers as well how much we want our kids to be successful. But there's a very fine line of us helping or doing completely opposite. And we're going to give you the perfect example. So three of our kids are fencing, but the youngest one, she's not competing, I mean, to that level. But I remember this conversation that opened my eyes a lot with one of my boys is he said, I know that you're my coach because we're fencing coaches. We're not just, the parents. And he said that every time you give me advice, I get irritated because I take you as my parent, not as my coach. And I don't want to disrespect you, but I feel that way. And I feel like we talk with Chris a lot about how fencers are feeling towards their parents coaching them. And even if the parent says good job, that triggers some of the fencers. And I remember as an athlete, my mom was my biggest supporter when I was competing. And she was saying those nice things about me. Oh, you're doing great, this and that. Yeah, I was so triggered because there's so much pressure going to the tournaments. And I've said this before on the podcast. You don't want to sabotage unintentionally your kids. And the other issue is when you're saying something on the tournament, when we, the coaches, are saying something, it's kind of going, even if you're trying to repeat what we said, I feel the only person speaking on the tournament during the actual fencing bouts should be the coach. And we've had those conversations with our parents, and it's funny because sometimes I'm watching videos of the kids fencing, and we're trying to analyze, and we're hearing the parents talking. I was like, oh my gosh! And even if you're saying good job, but I'm just saying that like we are for the long haul of like doing the best we can for those kids. We have them a certain amount of years, and we don't want to lose opportunities because of something that could have been done, right?
Yeah. So the key part is this is like it's a whole process of how things should work, and magically it's not gonna happen 4 or 5 years later. Then the parents start saying something and trying to jump in. This is like the whole process of what's been done. Again, it's a process of years of how things gonna go, and then we don't want that to be interrupted. That's again, we know what we're doing, and I know us as parents we want to help every time, but that's the same as even as a coach. Like I try to stay sometimes on the side of different coaches coaching, and sometimes I would just override things if I feel necessary. But then, in general, I shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah. um, and one thing I wanted to add is like one of our kids is doing additional training in the mornings for his physical training, and we're going to a place where he has trainers and stuff about his speed, balance, and stuff. And I remember I'm sitting on the chair, and I'm like, why would I want to say something right now to his training when there's a trainer and she and he is doing their job brilliantly? And now I'm like, finally, I want to be a parent, not the coach, and staying on the side. And honestly, like, let the professionals do their job. And we do want your kid to succeed. Every coach want your kid to succeed. But when we start crossing, like, the communication and stuff, it's kind of getting on the way, I think, of the kid's potential success. Okay, so this is something that has happened before to me and irritates me a lot. And this also has happened to an athlete of mine. So I'm going to tell you, if you want to congratulate somebody for something that they have achieved, whether you're congratulating a coach for the success of the student or whether you're congratulating your fencing friend or whatever, do it from the heart. And if you don't do it from the heart, please don't do it halfway and coming up with some random thing. For instance, we had 10 years ago this fencer. um, she was doing incredible, and one of her friends from different clubs, were congratulating her. But one of them mentioned to her, "Oh, you beat me only because something random." And I'm like, so you were congratulating her for this, but then you're telling her it's like it's such a like a low blow even for athletes. And I tell my kids, this is not your friend. Don't expect like support this kid, and you don't need to support this kid. And honestly, we need to start being more firm on like, who do we want to be surrounded with, who do we support, and who we don't support. Because I'm also tired of supporting everybody, and then I'm getting congratulations, but my fencer lost. My fencer won all the actions, but your fencer got the points. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Like, what kind of congratulation is this? It's like I'm revisiting our
Hey,
professional friendships.
sometimes handshake is enough, and that's it.
Yeah, you don't need to tell me but.
If you feel bad about it, or we feel bad about it, then we just gotta deal with it later.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So yeah, either you congratulate from the heart and move on, or just don't do it because you're digging yourself a bigger hole. Um, Fencing is not about speed, but is about control. And we do see a lot of fencers who are trying to be faster than the opponent. I don't think that is serving them in any way, in shape, or form any good. And they think that, but I gotta be faster, I gotta be stronger, I gotta be faster. But if you cannot control the speed, I don't think anything can happen at the end. Because not the fastest fencer is winning the bout and winning the actions, but the one that can control the speed and everything.
Well, very rarely you have somebody that's very fast and very decisive and doing that. I think it's like 1 out of 100, and then it's very rare. That's the reason you gotta be able to control yourself on a slower pace, faster pace, mixed paces. So then you kind of practice your range. Otherwise, if you're just doing something fast, then you're giving the opponent something to do. And if
Absolutely.
the opponent is not creative and I'm just being fast doing actions, like against a dummy, let's say, then I'm just doing this person a favor of they're waiting in distance to deal with me being fast but not creative or not controlling anything I do.
Yeah. And another thing to add to this episode is about your mindset. If you don't believe that you can win that bout, the particular bout, uh, and you're expecting your coach or your parents or your teammates to motivate you, I am gonna give you the bad news. That's not gonna happen. Um, you you cannot expect people to motivate you. Either you have some reasons you want to win, you gotta figure out what is your why you're doing the sport and stuff like that, or you just can't wait for the magic to happen. No matter who is your coach, no matter who are your teammates, and we see this more than ever, where kids are waiting for you to motivate them. And I want to tell you, all those kids is like, if you don't have if you're not motivated, self motivation, I don't think that can happen, right?
Yeah, so it pretty much comes down to discipline because motivation is something that's temporary. I can give you motivation today, and if I'm not there tomorrow, then what? You're not going to be motivated, or you're going to be disciplined,
Mm.
motivating yourself before every event or every practice, or give yourself something to be motivated for, or to be kind of disciplined and inspired for, and therefore you don't need to just rely on anybody else to motivate you. Then, because motivation is very, very tricky word.
Yeah, if you're motivated for a day and expect the magic to happen, that's going to be really difficult. And a lot of the top athletes are doing things repeatedly, and you know that that's part of the process. Of course, some days are going to be better than others. Some days you're going to want to kind of train more and harder than others, but you got to go back to your why. And if you have no reason to do it, then you should not do it, rather than like doing the same thing over and over again and expect different results. And yeah,
Because that's
yeah.
again where discipline comes in, where
Mhm.
there will be days you're not gonna do it or you don't want to do it, but you still have to do it. That's the difference for the long term
Kinda
success.
the school thing, like
Yes.
for the long haul. And that is it from today's short and sweet, but to the point episode. Thank you guys for watching if you're on the YouTube, and thank you for listening on all our channels on the podcast. And if you have any questions, if you want us to kind of talk about certain things on the podcast, leave a comment on any of our social medias or just message us or email us. Thank you for watching or listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye for now.